Hello again and thanks for joining. So today I've got a rather large collection of PiKO coaches to have a look at. There's a total of 8 coaches here, all in boxes. They're all quite old and you can see that some of these boxes have had a bit of a hard life. For example, here you can see that it's possibly had some water damage on this one, and they've all got shelf wear as well. A number of them have these price tags of £4.99 from the train shop in Warwick. I don't know whether that's a model shop that still exists, and £4.99, I don't know when these were bought originally at that price, but £4.99 at today's prices would be an absolute bargain. And I know that they're all Deutsche Reichsbahn coaches inside it, so I'll open these up, take them out, and then we can have a closer look. Well, here we are with them all out of the boxes, and it did actually take quite a while to get them all out. What we have here is a nice collection of very similar Deutsche Reichsbahn East German coaches. At the back there we've got a stack of 4 first class coaches, then we have these 2 second class. This one here is a first and second class coach, and then we have this restaurant car. What I did notice when I was just taking them out of the boxes there is that some of them have different running numbers, and it's very noticeable on the first class. So these models aren't all identical. But what I'll do is I'll show you each type close up. So let's start with one of the first class coaches. I just randomly picked one of the first class coaches, which we've got here. So what's common on all these models is that the ends are identical, and they feature this additional part that's been added on here in black plastic. They've got these really nice looking lights, but there's no lighting on any of these coaches. They have the buffers here integrated into the chassis, and they all have metal couplings which are attached to the bogies. There's glazing on the partition doors there, and there's a kick-down plate added on as well. This particular coach has the glazing a little bit off-centre there, but the other ones seem to all be okay, so maybe this is just taking a bash in transit. As we look down the side of this coach, it's very similar to all the rest, and all the first-class coaches are like this. They're presented in this dark green colour with a nice printed stripe all the way along the length of the coach. It's not 100% crisp here, and it does have some issues, but these are quite old coaches. It has a handrail here picked out in silver along with the door handle, and the glazing is not quite flush fit, but almost. This one here is the toilet where it's blanked out, and you can see it has this metal bar printed onto the plastic of the windows, and that runs the whole length of the coach. Here is a transfer for the number 1 with a destination board underneath it, and this destination board varies on the other coaches. And then up top we have another stripe, a bit thicker than the other one, running the whole length of the carriage, which also has similar issues as well. In the middle of the carriage we've got a lot of graphics here, the DR for Deutsche Reichsbahn, the running number, which I've already mentioned, varies across these coaches. And then all these details printed down here in the black area, which are almost too small to see. And we've got a little bit of white paint picking out these brake handles here. I think they're brake handles anyway. And then as we get to the other end of the coach, you can see another number 1, again another toilet. The glazing is very clear, and you can see inside this coach it's got a yellow interior, and it's a compartment coach as well. And that's the same for all the first class coaches. The roof is moulded in grey plastic, and it's got some really nice hatch detail here, along with these air vents and ribs all the way along the top of the coach. There's no moulding marks at all here. It's really nice, and as this is the part that you'll see most of the time with these coaches, it's good that it's been moulded very well. Looking underneath the coach, we have the bogie attached to this part here, which moves left and right with the coupling. But you can see the coupling also has additional articulation there on a little spring. And these wheels sit on these little metal plates, so they are very free rolling, and the bogie also has the ability to move up and down here on this simple clip-in plastic part here. It should be quite easy to add lighting to these if you want to, because it's already picking up power to these little metal shims on each side, and you can see there's little copper plates there in the middle, so you could solder on some wires easily enough, I think. But these bogies are quite delicate, and they do move around an awful lot, which should allow this carriage to stay on really badly laid track. There's a nice amount of detail on the side of the moulding of the bogie here, including some wording and all the spring detail and brake detail. Brake shoes aren't in line with the wheels, but it's still quite convincing. Further underneath, there's a lot of detail of the ribs and the bracing and the brake gear and all these boxes and pipes. So they've really gone to town there. It's a nice amount of relief on these parts here as well. So overall, it's not a bad moulding, and certainly for the age of this coach, it is faring pretty well in terms of quality. So let's have a look at one of the other coaches. So this time we have a second class coach, and it's the same at this end as what we've just seen. There's not much difference going down the side of this coach. You can see instead there's a number 2, it's got a destination board, and it also has this destination board here, which the other one didn't have. And in the middle it's got a very similar Deutsche Reichsbahn running number and some other graphics and details. You can see this is a second class compartment coach. It's a very similar interior to the one we've just seen, and aside from that, this coach is identical to the first class coach. It has the same bogies and the same underframe. Here now is the composite first and second class. Again, same end as what we've already seen, and this one differs very slightly because it has has the first class at this end, again with a destination board, and it has the thick yellow line at the top of the coach here, which stops just after the logo, where it turns into a second class coach. And you can see down this end it has a second, again with a destination board, and it has this other additional destination board here. What's nice though is that the interior is slightly different. It is a compartment coach, but you can see on the first class section that the seats have little armrests, and in the second class section they don't. So that's a real nice attention to detail. They've obviously made the interior moulding specific for this composite coach. The underframe and bogies remain the same as what we've already seen. So let's have a look at the final coach. So this is a split second class and restaurant car. Again, the ends are exactly the same, and at this end it's very similar to the second class coach in that it's got a 2 with a destination board and a blanked out window for the toilet, and this line running the whole length of the coach. But here it starts to get a bit different. It's got obviously the logo, the Deutsche Reichsbahn, and the running number and the details that we've seen on all the rest down here. It differs here because we've got a different nameplate here. It's Metropa, which is obviously typical for these kind of buffet cars. And you can see that some of the windows now are blanked out as well, as representing the kitchen area, I guess. It's different on the other side of the carriage because we don't have those windows blanked out, and you can see more into the buffet kitchen area. And it does indeed look as though we've got some standing tables there. So actually now I'm thinking this is maybe a buffet stroke bar area with the compartments at the other end of the coach. The underframe on this one is slightly different, and we've got this larger box here underneath the kitchen area and some additional pieces here. So this chassis is specific for this particular coach, so that's a real nice attention to detail, and it's really great that this coach is different from the rest. So let's see how much one of these coaches weighs. So the buffet restaurant car weighs 145 grams. And here is a typical first class coach. It comes in at 149 grams. So what a great collection of coaches this has turned out to be. Each one of these coaches has something different to offer, and I really like the fact that some of the running numbers are different as well. They haven't just plumbed for doing the same old model over and over. So you can actually make a really interesting rake of coaches here. It was really great to see that the restaurant buffet car has extra parts specific to that model being put in. And it's also interesting that the first and second class composite coach has that different interior than the rest. So there's some really nice attention to details here. But you can obviously see that they've reused some of the parts on this, like the bogies and the couplings are all the same, and all the ends are the same as well. So there has been some cost cutting, but they've also put in some detail as well. So it's a nice combination. I think these coaches would be fairly cheap to pick up, even though they're vintage models, and they would make for a very interesting train if you were to run these. They do give you the option to go a little bit further if you want, with things like lighting on each of these coaches, which should be easy to wire in. And the interiors, while they're yellow, you might want to paint them and add some passengers as well and make it look a bit more realistic, and that would look really good, I think, especially in the restaurant buffet car, where you could really have some fun with the characters that you could put in that coach. So would I recommend these coaches to you? I think if you can get them cheap, I think it would be really good because they have an acceptable level of detail, enough variety, and they look pretty cool. They're obviously not up to today's standards of coach in stock, but they do stack up pretty well, especially because they've got almost flush fit glazing and enough level of detail to be passable. So unfortunately I don't have a layout big enough to run a train of all these coaches, so I'm actually going to put these onto eBay. So if you fancy owning these coaches, then check out my eBay store. There'll be a link in the description below. Let me know what you thought about my analysis of these coaches in the comments below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel grow. And I'll put one of these on the turntable so you can see all the way around. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See ya.